Okay, I believe now you can see me, right? Let me just check. I have to say that's the first time I'm actually broadcasting from Zoom. So most likely I'm not sure that it works okay. But I believe that I'm live now, yeah? So say the first time, right? So you got to give me a bit of time to get used to that. But yeah, what can I say? Welcome everybody. So, and it's a pleasure for me to be seeing you today as usual, right? You can see we have a fantastic setup. And then as usual, what we do, we are looking at doing things a little bit differently. So I thought, how can I improve the background? That's why I have it here. Yeah, and I have a very important question for you today. And the question is very simple. So the question I want to ask for you is, do you believe that renewables can be used for baseload power? The reason I'm asking myself this question is because I have attended a discussion this week, right? And also previous discussion I had before. And essentially the presumption was that we have to develop first before we move into sustainability. And when I'm hearing that, and also kind of the argument that I've been pushed forward is to find out whether or not we can use renewables for baseload power. And I thought that's actually the question that I want us to discuss today, right? And I'd be very glad to see what you guys are thinking. So, but before we dive into that, let me first of all introduce myself. So my name is Tony T. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. And our goal is very simple, is to demystify the renewable energy sector for you. So make it seamless and easy for you to connect and for you to be able to contribute, right? So if you tell me that, for example, you are an investor, you have loads of money that you can invest into the sector. You're willing to invest into the sector. You just don't have the right information. And you're wondering, so who can actually help me? Don't look further, right? Do not look anywhere else. In here, you find all the information that you're looking for. Or maybe you could be telling me that, you know, I'm a business, I want to contribute to decarbonizing my operation, but I also want to do something because I feel compelled to do something. My customer will be actually kind of grateful if I'm able to show that I also contributing. In here, in this platform, you definitely will have the information that you're looking for. Just look at one of the videos that we've actually recorded already. And I promise you, when you look at that, there's only one or two that will be of interest for you. And the third thing I can say, so if you say you are a professional, right, and you want to get into the sector, do not worry. I used to be like you. In fact, more than 10 years ago, I was in the automotive sector. I know some of you listening to me have already seen that and heard that before. Yeah, and I find my way into here. So that's why I always say when we're talking, we're making sure that, right, we're also giving information to people like yourself, saying that I'm a professional, I want to get into the sector, I find a way to get into it, right? So now, how can you contribute? That's a question you probably want to ask me. So very simple. So if you want to contribute, what I would say, there's three ways you can contribute. The first thing, first of all, you want to actually connect to one of our platforms, because today is actually quite special. We get broadcasting from 5 platforms, and very soon it's going to be 6. Because today, as I'm telling you, so I've been experimenting, so showing that from Zoom. Why from Zoom? I just think that there's a better way of it's a better way of doing it, and that allowed me to have a number of things. For example, I have this beautiful background, right? So this is Nairobi, by the way, guys. If you didn't recognize, so exactly. So what it is yeah. So for you to contribute, you can connect to one of our platforms, right? We have 5 platforms. Like I say, we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, and Telegram, and like I say today, Zoom. I'm actually broadcasting from Zoom, meaning that soon we're going to have people actually attending from Zoom as well, right? Which is fantastic, great, and that's what we want to do. So that's the first thing. You connect to that. And for example, on YouTube, I want you to connect to subscribe. Not only to subscribe, you press the bell notification. Why? Simply because when I'm actually giving or having some new videos like that, you can actually participate, right? That's what it's all about. And then the second thing I want you to do is to leave a comment. Tell me whether you like what I'm saying, you don't like what I'm saying. Yeah, so you have your own opinion, which is great. What I want us to do is just to discuss, right? Because at the end of the day, in this job where we're into and kind of the challenge that we have to solve, we never ever gonna solve it if we don't talk to one another. And nobody, no matter whatever other people are telling you, nobody has the whole solution. We all have part of the solution, and we need to bring things together. If we don't do that, we're not gonna go far. What I'm saying, even me sitting here, I'm obviously gonna share basically my viewpoint, right? But it doesn't mean that everything is true. You probably have something that I don't know yet. That's what I want to connect with you. Yeah. And the third way is simply just to share. So if you're watching me right now, and I know some of you are watching me right now, please do me a favor. Share this right now, because there are people that will like it, that will enjoy it. They don't know how to get access to information like that. And I promise you that's true, because not long ago, in fact, yesterday I was talking to a very, very kind gentleman, and he was telling me that obviously he's from the USA, right? He was telling me that, there's a number of things he didn't know, for example, about the space in Africa. So what is going on, right? But they have fantastic solutions that they would like to obviously bring to the table, to the market, for people to explore. He just didn't know. And he was very happy to see that we were already having those kind of conversations. This is what I'm saying. You may be thinking, okay, what I'm doing here, everybody knows that. No, don't take it for granted. I promise you. Share that and call people, bring people in so that we can have this conversation, right? This is what it's about today. And yeah, hopefully it makes sense, and now it's great for you. Now, I want us to look at this conversation, right, that I've been telling you about, because basically, when the reason I'm saying that, the reason I'm talking about that, it's because, as I say, I was part of a conversation, and that's what I've heard a number of times. And the question becomes, can we really use renewable to develop, especially for emerging markets, right? And if I can maybe specify a little bit more, Africa in this instance, and other places as well. So the consensus that seems to be forming, or what I'm hearing, is that first, let's develop, and then sustainability, right? And when I hear that, so what I could actually understand, or it's that people all say that we can't use renewables to actually get base load. So now, first of all, people can ask me, what is base load? Just in case you don't know, right? So base load, to keep it simple and not technical, this is the minimum power that you will require to run all your basic operation. If you imagine, for example, you are a household, right? And then you want to run your kettle, you want to run your white goods, your fridges, your oven or thing like that. You want to run it, and you want light, obviously, at night. So you have some basic operation. Now, if you imagine the amount of household that you have in a country, and then the amount of businesses that you have, and also public offices, they require a minimum amount of power every day, 24/7, for them to be able to carry on with their work. So base loads, it's simply the addition of all those power from all those citizens and businesses living in the country. So what we want to say is make sure that the system, the grid, or whatever is the electricity system there, is able to provide that, right? And this is where obviously people are saying, for us to develop, to have a minimum required power that we need to run those operations, those devices, right? We need a stable power, and renewable can't actually respond to the question. So that's the question that's in front of us today. And my first question for you is to say, what do you think, guys? So do you think that renewables can do it or not, right? So I'd like to hear from you. So I'd like to hear from you. I know some people have already sent me their responses. I had a couple of responses, and it was emphatic yes, right? That means that yes, we can do it. Yes, the sector can do it. But I'd like to find out from you, what do you think about that? If you drop your messages in comments, so I'll be able to see and pick it up. But let me share a couple of things with you, because usually the way I like to carry those conversations is I like to go from some, let's say, fact that I'm sharing, right? So that this way we're able to have, let's say, a good discussion. Because most of the time we tend to be talking, sometimes bringing emotion into it, right? And then sort of making the discussion becoming harder and harder. It becomes, you have to believe me just because, I'm a trustworthy person. So the easy way for me to approach this question would be, let's just look at some facts, and then we can then carry on, right? So, and that's exactly what I want to share with you here. So you would allow me to share my screen. So I picked up a couple of countries that I want to talk about, and then we can look at that. So let me see if I can share my screen. Yep, I'm sharing my screen. I should be able to see that. Let me first of all share this first data. Okay, this first. Okay. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Yeah, so let me check that you can see my screen first. Yeah, hopefully it is the case. So if it's not the case, you will send me a message. Yeah. So okay, I believe you can all see my screen, right? Am I correct? Okay, that's fine. So okay, so what I'm sharing here. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So sorry, I think I'm just messing up a little. Okay. Let me just stop sharing again and start again. Sorry, it was when you're actually going live, sometimes things are a little bit hectic. So where can I find you again? Come on, Tony, you had it here. So, okay, now I found it. Yes, this is it. I think now you could see that. Okay, so what I'm sharing with you, I picked up a country in Africa. Oh, by the way, that's the greatest country in the world, right? So the best country in terms of the best football nation, put it that way. So this is a country, this is Cameroon, right? And the data that I'm sharing with you, just to be very clear, this is actually coming from the AFDB, because it's also important to actually mention, so what is the source, so that we can see whether we can trust it or not, right? So essentially what that was looking at, it's the power sector in the country, and essentially looking at what is the projection in terms of the next few years, what we're looking at and what we're going to get. So hopefully you're able to see. I know the document is not very clear. So by the way, like I say, so the data coming from the continent. So those of you who are from the continent, you will know that it's not always easy to get. Yeah, I had it. Let me make it slightly bigger. Hopefully you can still see. So what you have in here, it's the like I say, the expected evolution of installed capacity. So we talked about what is actually installed, not even planned, right? So what is the expected capacity? And it starts from 2021 all the way it goes to 2030, right? So you know the SDG goes to 2030. You want to reach the full electricity access by then. Yeah. Anyway, that's UN goal, right? What do we see for now? So in when you see the line here, the black one, it's a forecasted peak demand, right? Which is actually, imagine you're back home. Usually the peak demand in many countries will be around between 6 to 8, right? Everybody's back home. Everybody want to watch TV. Everybody want to have food. And then, basically the actual consumption is at its maximum. That's why you have the peak load. And the idea is, can we cope with renewables, for example? And what do we see here? For example, 2022, right here, but 2021, let's look at that, right? So where was the consumption coming from in this country, right? So you probably not see, but you see here, the blue one is the existing hydro, right? So existing hydro, and then you have Nachtigal. Nachtigal is a very famous big hydro project in the continent. Many of you, in Cameroon, some of you close to this project will probably know that as well. And then you see Grand Ewen, that's another project like that, hydro project as well like that. So as you could see, up until pretty much 2024, you could see the whole power it actually produced, deliver by hydro, which is what renewable energy source, right? So that for me providing first part of the answer, right? To the question is, can renewable produce baseload power? That's first part of the answer. Now, let me move you to another country so that I won't be accused to be biased here, right? Let's go and look at another country. And I've selected as well. That's a great article. I can even share where this article is coming from. That's ESI Africa, right? So you guys will see that ESI Africa. You know ESI Africa, right? So can we trust them? I guess yes, right? That's great. So we're talking about Kenya here, a country that we all know, yeah, and we all admire. And they had elections. They elected a new president, and I have my team, part of my team, sitting there. I'm just giving you a salute if you're watching me. And what can we see here for Kenya? Yeah, you can read this article yourself, by the way. So geothermal, yeah, that's another renewable energy source. And they were saying first of all, we have basically increase of capacity, yeah, increased capacity. That was between 2017 and 20. Sorry, let me just get rid of the WhatsApp. So we had 2.2 gigawatt all the way to 2.9, almost 3 gigawatt, right? That's 31% increase. I have to say, and I want to commend Kenya. Kenya has done a fantastic job in terms of increasing the electrification in the continent. It's probably one of the top performing countries, I think, with Ghana and Rwanda. Those are the three that actually kind of can stand out. Yeah, and most of it, like I say, I as you will come to know, a lot of it was a contribution as well to renewables, right? So we can see that here, geothermal was 44% the leading contributors, right, of power there, right? And followed by hydro, 26%, almost 27%, and then thermal, 13%, right? So when again we ask the question, can renewable deliver a baseload power? Guys, this is baseload power we're talking about here, right? So you have a country like Kenya, right? So where you have 44%, then 27%, right? So you got you kind of getting a little bit your response here. More than 70% of the power coming from renewables, right? So I'm sure you get a little bit. Now let's carry on again. Let's take another country, and then to see whether the question it's actually worth even asking, right? So another country. So what I picked up again. So but maybe this one people will say, okay, Tony, that's not a great source, but let me share something very quickly because I thought it's still good to be able to share that. So how can I quickly show what I want to show you? Probably by let me think. Okay, probably like by sharing my whole stop sharing. Yes, sharing my whole screen and then pick up this document. That's what I have. You probably can see that, and I'm hoping you can see that. And that's what it is. So you probably know that recently I've talked about a renewable energy conference that is happening in Uganda, right, between the 3rd and the 5th of November, right? And it's organized by the NREP, which is the National Renewable Energy Platform that was set up by the Ministry of Energy in Uganda, right? So, and this one actually, basically this conference is directly piloted by the NREP, which was the Ministry of Energy, right, set up by them, right? And I believe at least I can trust some of the figure that they're giving us, isn't it, right? Otherwise, you may again say that, hey, I don't know what, but let's imagine that what they're telling me as data is data that they know. So what we have in Uganda here, so what we see as well, it's basically, we're talking about by 2021, we have a 1.3 gigawatt installed capacity in Uganda that is based off hydro, more than 1 gigawatt hydro, then you have bagasse, another renewable energy, yeah? And then you have thermal, and then you have solar, 60 megawatts. So then again here, in another country that I've picked up, right, you have a substantial contribution of renewable, right, to the power capacity of the country. So I may just a little bit stop there and say, I've given you 3 countries, right, where there's not even a question by asking, can renewable produce baseload power? They are already producing baseload power. Now, what is actually implied in this question is, and that's what sometimes I said, when I'm hearing the question, renewables development first and sustainability later, implying that or assuming that renewable can actually drive development. I'm saying, guys, we kind of mixing things here, right? So I've just showed you things here. Now, I'm not saying that all countries have renewable. Clearly, that's not right. That's incorrect. Some countries have, let's say, more gas or more coal. For example, Southern Africa, that's more coal. North Africa, that's gas, right? In West Africa, again, that's a mixture of oil and gas. Yes, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. If we're talking about, obviously, what's the way forward for Africa, obviously, the picture is different. So we can't say that it's only going to be renewables. That's fair to say. We can't say that, right? Even me, a guy like me, a strong defender of renewable, we can't say that. At the same time, we can't say that also all the countries also going to actually embrace gas. No, that's not correct. But if you look at gas, 6 countries actually having 86% of the revenues in gas. Yeah, I may be doing something else, looking at that. So basically, the right answer for me is it depends where you're talking about, what region you're talking about, right? So there needs to be a mixture of the two. So we can't be all of a sudden say that renewables, for example, can't produce baseload power. Renewables, it's not good for, it's not what we should be pushing for right now. I said, come on, guys, we have to be factual here. And when we talk about renewables, it's about looking at, and that's why I say it's important to differentiate which kind of renewable are you talking about? Because I told you already geothermal, I told you hydro. Now, what people imply is new forms of renewable. In fact, they want to most of the time talk about solar and they want to talk about wind. Now, obviously, we're talking, it becomes much more specific now. And also they're talking about off-grid, saying that, hey, are we saying that we're now going to go all the way on the off-grid? Let's be specific in the questions, right? If we're not specific, then we can mix some answers like that. So now let me tap the question, respond to this question. Can solar and wind, for example, produce baseload power? Yeah. So for them to produce baseload power, so clearly there needs to be less intermittent, right? So that's what and less flexible, so that we can make sure that we have power we can rely on, we can count on, and we know that when we need it, we have it. That's actually what we're saying here. So I'm hoping up until now, I'm kind of making sense. So I'm sure I'm hoping there will be lots of reactions, right? That's I'll be happy to listen to later. But solar, let me look at solar. Solar, with regard to solar. So people forget that you have a technology called concentrated solar power, right? Which, in a nutshell, is actually basically using heat, basically extracting the heat from the sun, then you direct it toward a receiver. The receiver that will heat a fluid, yeah, and create some heat, and that heat can also be transformed into steam that can power, right, a turbine and generate electricity. And that steam as well, because you actually capture the solar energy, you transfer that into a liquid. That liquid can be stored, right, to a little bit like you have thermostat. You store that, and when you need power, you can then release it. So just to say that for solar, the CSP technology, especially in region like you said, Southern Africa, for example, if you talk about Botswana, talk about South Africa, where you have CSP, or Namibia, it is possible, right, to apply, and it's already been done. So that CSP, and it's actually, you can look at actually the pricing, not the pricing, come on, man, the LCOE, right, the levelized cost of energy there. It definitely kind of makes sense, yeah. So you could potentially get baseload power with that if you wanted, right? Same thing in North Africa, right? With the Sahara Desert, you could potentially do that, right? For wind as well. Now, does that mean for solar? It is possible. I agree that it may be a little bit more challenging, but it is possible. Now, let's come to the question talking about wind. Okay, wind in many countries like northern countries like UK, France, Germany, wind is making more and more significant contribution. I'm sure everybody would agree with that. The question is, can they provide baseload? And here is my question back. And I'm actually saying that because you probably don't know, but I wrote a book in 2017 talking about the wind energy outlook in Africa. And I was already alluding to this kind of question. And what I'm saying, for example, is I was saying here, I know the intermittent and the flexible, right? They don't always we can't always get wind power at the time we need, right? Are we saying that for all in one country, if say for example South Africa, are we saying that all those regions they are actually fluctuating all at the same time, exactly the same time, meaning that if we need wind power, we can't get enough? I would struggle to get it right. If you go to the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, are we saying that they fluctuate exactly at the same time? So that means when they're off at the same time? Clearly not, right? So it's a balancing act. Maybe you may not get enough here, but you may have enough over there. So maybe by playing with the fluctuation and becoming a little bit more clever with the system that we have, we can manage to get the minimum that we need. And now with a system of power, of power pool anyway, so we can transfer one power to the other, right? I know it's challenging, but it's something that could be explored. But simply what I wanted to demonstrate today is that if you're saying that can renewables be used for baseload power, for me, it's not even a question. It's already used for baseload power. And guess what? In some country, at least Cameroon, as I showed you, Kenya, as I showed you, Uganda, as I showed you, it's been used for baseload power for 60 years. So what are we talking about here? Now, if we're saying the question should be, can wind and solar be used as base load power? Can wind and solar only going to be used for off-grid solar? Then it become a little bit more specific. Then I say, yes, no problem. Let's have those discussions clearly. And I believe in that, even in this direction, I'm sure there are things that we could be saying. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to bring as a contribution here. I would love to have some comments to see what people say. Realistically, I mean, like I say, honestly, guys. So, okay. Sorry for the passion, right? It's just like I like to have those debates, and I believe that for us, for the future of the energy market in the continent, it is important for us to have this question and to ask the real question. And if people think otherwise, then no problem. Let's bring some fact and see whether or not it does make sense, right? So that's what I wanted to provide today, and I'm hoping that I was able to respond to some of the questions that people had. I will look at whether I have some questions, and if there's some question, obviously I'll be delighted to respond to that. So let me just quickly look at my LinkedIn and see if there is some question. Like again, so today I was experimenting a new system, so I maybe not be on point for that, but I'm hoping that you still enjoy it and still liked it. So let me just say. So I can see okay, I can see effectively that I can see there's some question here. Let me pick up some of them. I can see some reaction. So hi from Kenya, nice. Again, hi from Niamey, that's nice as well. That's excellent. Yeah. Hi from Kenya, that's Brian. So people are just saying hi. Okay. Here's the question. Sorry, I didn't see. Hi for Somaliland. Greeting from South Africa. I'm following you from LinkedIn. Share the Zoom link. Oh yeah, next time I share the Zoom link, as I say today. So that's the first time I'm broadcasting from Zoom and using the platform that I use, which is Restream. So like I say, I'm not very much on point. Okay, Hugh is saying, to me, we can, but there will be challenges that must be overcome, such as economical aspect, social aspect. Okay, it's a very good remark, and I agree with you. You're absolutely right. But it's not because there's challenges that we can't be looking at that. If we believe deep down that that's the right solution, or that's definitely part of a solution. By the way, again, let me repeat that. I'm not here advocating for 100% renewable. At the moment, we can't do that yet. That's for sure. We can, maybe it's an aspiration, but we can't do that yet. So we have to be practical, right? So we know that we still need to use fossil fuel, especially gas. Yes, I agree with that. But what I'm saying here is, I still believe we can get a much bigger portion of renewable. This is what I'm saying here, which is already the case anyway in many countries. And that's what I wanted to demonstrate, so people understand that it's not even a new question here that we're asking. What is new is the new forms of renewables. But renewables been used in the kitchen for 60 years, guys. So, yes, good morning, good morning. Yeah, I think what I've gone through all the remarks on that question on LinkedIn. There may be some question as well in other parts of the different channels that I have. So yeah, so hopefully you liked it today, guys. Hopefully you find it interesting. So apologies if I felt a little bit less prepared, because like I say, today I wanted to do something from Zoom because I just want to enjoy the great background. So can Nairobi have this power with renewables? Obviously, yes, it's already the case. That's my question. That's my answer, guys. It was lovely to see you. So yeah, great having your feedback. And then what can I say? As opposed to just saying thank you for spending some time with me on a Sunday. Hopefully you've enjoyed the topic. Hopefully you will contribute. Hopefully you will tell me what you think. And for me, all I have to say is, may the sun be with you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.